So, in our last video, we have discussed an idea that in the Mesolithic age, people started to forge a new relationship with the nature. In the Mesolithic age, people started to forge a new relationship with the nature, and this relationship was more interactive and more adaptive in nature. And this nature of relationship ultimately provided for the control of their environments. As we shall see later on, that towards the end of the Mesolithic period, people started to domesticate plants and animals. And this relationship got expressed in the form of art, particularly the paintings of the Mesolithic period and other beliefs, including burial practices. So this was the idea we have discussed in our last video. Moving on further, moving on further, we shall discuss the other aspects of the Paleolithic age. So I'm going to erase this. We will be discussing here now other aspects of the Mesolithic age. So what are the aspects we have discussed so far? Let's revise quickly. First, we have seen that Mesolithic age emerged in the and let's just compare it with Paleolithic age. So in Paleolithic to Mesolithic, we will be looking at the transition. So from Paleolithic to Mesolithic. Paleolithic to Mesolithic. We will be saying the transition of the aspects we have discussed so far. First, we will look at the background, the climatic condition. So in Paleolithic, there was Pleistocene epoch, and in Holo and Mesolithic started with the emergence of Holocene epoch. And Pleistocene climate was very unstable. Holocene climate started being stable. Climate was cold and dry, and Holocene climate became warm and wet. उसके बाद हमने क्या देखा था? सेटलमेंट के ऊपर देखा था. settlement. Paleolithic people were completely nomadic. Completely nomadic. Still, we have some evidences such as in Bhibetka and in Honski Valley where there is a continuous occupation, and that is because at these sites there was continuous availability of natural resources. So, other than that, the general characteristic of Paleolithic settlement is they led a nomadic life. In Mesolithic culture, we have seen different levels of sedentariness, but with little degrees. We have seen permanent settlement, we have seen uh, seasonal camps, and we have seen semi-permanent settlements also. And some communities some communities were living a nomadic life also. And we have seen the tools and technology. Paleolithic people started with the crude stone tools, but gradually they were also evolving. The refinement was increasing, the size was decreasing. So the characteristic tools of Paleolithic age are hand axes, choppers, cleaver, cleaverers, borers, blades, bearings. These are tools we have seen in the Paleolithic age. In Mesolithic age, some of these tools continued. Some of these tools continued. Some tools were reduced in size, and the characteristic tools of Mesolithic age is termed as microliths. But Paleolithic tools were still used. So these all aspects we have learned so far. Now we will move on to our we will move on to our next aspect of Mesolithic, and that is society or social organization. Society or social organization. If you could remember, what was Paleolithic society like? It was an example of band society, and this band society was very simple, and there was no tribal chief, and also few members in a individual band. Now, Mesolithic society, as we have seen with the technical advancement and increase in subsistence based population increased, so the size of community increased. Size of community increased in Mesolithic age, but still it was an example of band society because it was still a simple society, a simple tribal society with no system of any chiefdom. So Mesolithic society was also a tribal society, an example of band society, in which there was no tribal chief, but the size of community increased due to increase in population. Due to increase in population. There was a division of labor. How it functioned, the society functioned on the basis of division of labor, and this division of labor was based on age, sex, and skill specialization. Skill specialization. स्किल स्पेशलाइजेशन का मतलब है कि कोई टूल्स बना रहे हैं, कोई रिचुअल्स कर रहे हैं. So the division of society functioned on the basis of division of labor, the basis of which was age, sex, and skill specialization. Possibly, as can be seen from the paintings and burial practices, possibly the concept of family emerged. फैमिली की कॉन्सेप्ट शायद मेसोलिथिक एज में इमर्ज हुई, और ये जो इन्फेरेंस है, इंटरप्रिटेशन है, वो कुछ एविडेंसेस के बेसिस पे, जैसे कि हम देख सकते हैं कि बरियल प्रैक्टिस, एंड दिस इंटरफेरेंस इज बेस्ड ऑन सम एविडेंसेस प्रोवाइडेड बाय burial practices एंड पेंटिंग्स. बरियल प्रैक्टिस में हम लोग देखते हैं कि अब मेसोलिथिक में बरियल प्रैक्टिस की शुरुआत हो गई थी, है ना. इसको हम पढ़ेंगे आगे अपने बिलीफ्स वाले एस्पेक्ट में. सो मेसोलिथिक में बरियल की शुरुआत हो गई थी, और ये देखा गया था कि विद इन द सेटलमेंट एरिया और हैबिटेशन साइट dead were buried, and along with that grave goods were also kept. Then in paintings वी सी हम देखते हैं कि कुछ कई कई ऐसे पेंटिंग्स हैं जहाँ पे हम देखते हैं कि जो वुमेन है और मदर्स टेंडिंग टू देयर किड्स, टेंडिंग टू देयर किड्स. नॉट ओनली दिस, ओल्डर पीपल, जो बूढ़े लोग थे, उनको भी देखा गया था बच्चों की देखभाल करते हुए पेंटिंग्स में. तो ऐसा माना गया कि जो इस समय, जो मेसोलिथिक एज के तक आते आते, जो बूढ़े लोग हैं उनको घर पे ही छोड़ दिया जाता था, और उनका काम था बच्चों की देखभाल करना, और साथ में मदर्स का काम था, बच्चों को हमने देखा था कि वो बच्चों को किस तरह से अटेंड कर रहे थे, किंडल कर रहे थे. तो पेंटिंग्स के थ्रू हम ये सारे भाव देखते हैं. मेसोलिथिक सोसाइटी में लोगों के अंदर फैमिली की कंसेप्ट आ गई थी, और ये हम पॉसिबली कह सकते हैं ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ बरियल प्रैक्टिसेज एंड पेंटिंग्स. नेक्स्ट हम लोग देखते हैं सबसिस्टेंस बेसिस या लाइवलीहुड क्या थे। तो जो डोमिनेंटली जो लोग थे वो अभी भी लोग दे वर हंटर गैदरर्स, पीपल वर हंटर गैदरर्स, शिकार करते थे और फूड गैदर करते थे, फूड प्रोडक्ट्स गैदर करते थे। डोमिनेंटली जो लोग थे वो हंटर गैदरर्स ही थे। लेकिन उनकी हमने पहले भी देखी थी, पैलियोलिथिक में भी देखी थी कि उनकी सबसिस्टेंस बेस का कैसे विकास हो रहा था। और मेसोलिथिक में आते आते क्योंकि यहाँ पे ऑलरेडी क्लाइमेटिक कंडीशंस ने ही सबसिस्टेंस बेस को इनकरेज किया, तो लोगों की सबसिस्टेंस बेस का और भी ज़्यादा विकास हुआ और लोगों की डाइट में नई तरह की फूड रिसोर्सेज आने लग गए। जैसे कि अब टेक्निकल एडवांसमेंट भी हुई थी, तो उसकी वजह से नए हथियार बनने लगे, जैसे बोज एंड एरोज आ गए थे, जिससे जो छोटे एनिमल्स हैं और जो तेजी से मूव करते हैं और जो बर्ड्स हैं हवा में, तो हवा में भी शिकार करना पॉसिबल हो सका विथ प्रिसीजन। क्योंकि एरो जो ये जो माइक्रोलिथ्स हमने देखा था ट्रायंगुलर शेप की, इसको सॉफ्ट लगा करके एरो बना लिया जाता था और पॉसिबली इसके जो एंड है वहाँ पे मे बी सम पॉइजन और समथिंग मस्ट बी, उसको किसी पॉइजनस अगर कोई कंटेनर है या जो भी, तो उसमें इसको ड्रॉप करके डिप करके इस एरो से शिकार किया जाता था और पॉसिबली ये एक इफेक्टिव इस प्रिसीजन से इनका शिकार संभव हो सका, छोटे एनिमल्स और बर्ड्स का। सो और बड़े एनिमल्स का तो शिकार कर ही रहे थे और दूर से अब उनका शिकार पॉसिबल हो सका। तो ये सारे जो हैं कंडीशंस या ये सारे फैक्टर्स, एक तो पॉपुलेशन को स्टेबल करने में मदद की और लोगों के सबसिस्टेंस बेस का भी अच्छा खासा विस्तार किया। फिर फिश हुक्स हम देखते हैं, जैसे आदमगढ़ से देखते हैं फिश हुक्स हमें मिली है, महाराष्ट्र में फिश हुक्स मिली हुई है। तो फिश हुक्स ये सजेस्ट करती हैं कि शायद फिशिंग ने भी इसी पीरियड में शुरू हो गई थी। सो क्लियरली डोमिनेंटली they were hunter gatherers in their outlook, but clearly their subsistence base grew. Towards the end, we have the evidences of animal domestication, and also at Damdama, there is one site in Ganga Valley, Damdama. There we have evidence of domestic rice. But this domestic variety of rice is still contested because rice has so many varieties and it is difficult to identify which one is wild and which one is difficult. Which one is wild and which one is domestic. But definitely we have the evidences of animal domestication at sites where people used microliths. And हम कुछ जगहों पे देखते हैं कि हमें क्वर्न्स मिले हैं, क्वर्न्स जो चक्की होती है, हर्ड्स मिले हैं जो चूल्हे होते हैं। तो चूल्हे की जो बेस होती है, अब जिस किसी शेप में हो, सर्कुलर भी होती थी, रेक्टेंगुलर भी होती थी, तो वो हर्ड्स हमें मिले हैं चूल्हे, यानी कि वहां से हमें चूल्हे के साक्ष्य मिले हैं। फिर हमें क्वर्न्स भी मिले हैं, चक्की, और हमें वहीं पे वाइल्ड ग्रेन्स के एविडेंस मिले हैं। तो ज़्यादातर जो लोग हैं वो डोमेस्टिक वैरायटी के और ग्रेन्स नहीं खाते थे, वाइल्ड वैरायटी के ग्रेन्स ही खाते थे। बट अब जो है रेगुलर कुकिंग में भी रेगुलर बेसिस पे फूड food production, not food production, but food making, preparing food was started on regular basis. So naturally, their mode of procuring food, their mode of preparing food were also changing. लेकिन ये इतनी सब्सटेंशियल नहीं थी, लोग धीरे धीरे अडेप्ट कर रहे थे. So this was about subsistence. Now we have social structure. We have already discussed social structure. And in culture part, we will discuss culture in our next video. Let's go back to one of the slides. Okay, this was the slide. So look at this slide. Most of the things, almost all these things I have already discussed in detail, but still we will look at these pointers one by one. Mesolithic stands for Middle Stone Age, and it is also the transitional zone between Paleolithic and Neolithic. As we have seen that Mesolithic contains some characteristic of Paleolithic age, and it also contains some characteristics of Neolithic age, which is the next cultural stage. It started with the onset of Holocene epoch, and the characteristic tool types were microliths. The favorable climatic conditions and technological developments led to the increase in population. Climatic conditions made food resources diverse. क्लाइमेटिक कंडीशंस की वजह से फूड रिसोर्स डाइवर्स हो गए, जो जैसा कि हमने देखा था. और माइक्रोलिथ्स जो है, उनकी जो फूड कलेक्शन की कंडीशन है उसको इम्प्रूव कर दिया, जिसकी वजह से सबसिस्टेंस बेस क्लियरली इंक्रीज्ड एंड विच ultimately led to the increase in population also. Although people were leading a nomadic life, although people were leading a nomadic life, but efforts towards permanent settlement were also visible. As we have seen, we have different degrees of sedentariness. So people led nomadic life, but still we can see seasonal camps also, different degrees of sedentariness. We have also seen that in the beginning of pottery is associated with Mesolithic period, but in Neolithic age only pottery has become a widespread phenomena. So we have evidences of pottery from Lagna, Chopani Mando, and Bagor, and also we have from Adamgarh Hills. Adamgarh we have seen in MP. We have evidences of potsherds, which indicates in turn that pottery must have been used here at this site also. Early evidences of plant and animal domestication, and for the first time, burials were seen in Mesolithic period, and certain grave goods were also buried along with the body. This we will see in our cultural aspects, cultural beliefs in our next video. So see you in the next video.